Welcome back. Today the theme is Animal Companion for the class, the animation class that this is a part of. We're making video games, and my video game that I'm going to be making is snowboarding, so I thought I'd make a snow-based animal. There's a couple options, but I think I'll be going for a penguin today. It was between that and like a polar bear or an Arctic fox, but I think a penguin probably is the simplest model, so we'll go with that, and then maybe in the future we'll make some other animals. So we'll start by getting rid of the cube, and we will add a UV sphere. Take that sphere, how many segments? Maybe 32 is fine. And let's rotate it so the circular part of the sphere is facing... Actually, I guess for this one, we'll make this the head. For that one, it doesn't matter as much. But for the body, we're probably going to want the circular part facing forward, so that can be the belly, which will be nicer when we eventually color it. Okay, so let's start by moving this head up. And then we'll make a duplicate and move it down. Something like this. Rotate around the y-axis by 90 degrees. We'll hit enter. And then we'll size it up a little bit. Something like that. That's pretty big, but we can size it down in the y direction and in the x direction. Maybe something like this. Maybe it doesn't have to be quite as tall. Something like that. Okay. Now let's create some, well, let's name this body first. Let's create some feet, I guess. So what we can do for feet is, let's make a cylinder maybe. Rotate it. Let's see, do we want to change the vertices? I don't think we need 32. Maybe just 8 is fine. Maybe slightly more. Let's go 16. Change the radius to maybe like 0.2. Maybe something a bit bigger. 0.4. 0.3 maybe. Okay. Okay, now let's rotate that. So we want to rotate it around the y-axis by 90. And we'll move it out to the side. If we go into edit mode, let's make some edge loops. So select, hit 2 to select edges. Select any one of these long edges, then hit Control R to make some edge loops. Scroll up until we have a good number. I want each of these to be roughly square, each one of the segments that we're making the faces. So I think something like that is good. Let's turn on proportional editing, and then I think what we want to do is we'll go into wireframe mode, select this, and we'll size it down. Something like that, so that it comes to a toe. We can move it down so that's more in line with the rest of the toe, rest of the foot, I suppose. Something like that. And then we'll do the same at the back, just kind of make it a bit of a rounder shape. This, maybe we'll just select these faces now. Okay, something like that. So this will be one toe, and then we'll want to copy this. So within this object, let's take the entire thing. Let's go here. Take the entire thing, make sure it's all selected. And let's duplicate it, move it along the y-axis, and then rotate it around the z-axis. Oh, why is there some stretching going on? Give it a sec. Okay, something like this. Where is he? Why is that happening? Why is it connected? I mean, it's not the end of the world, because in that, like, penguins do have webbed feet, and this does kind of give that webbed appearance, but I just don't, I don't want it to, like, lead to any errors down the road if we can avoid it. So let's maybe, whoa, what is happening? Okay, start here, Shift D, G, Y, oh, not G, yeah, okay, just Y. Move it out to here. Now we can rotate around the Z-axis. And now let's move it back closer. Not quite sure why that happened, but that's okay. Let's do one more duplicate. Move it along the Y-axis the other way. Rotate it around Z, kind of the opposite. And move it back so that it's all part of the same foot. So now if we look at it, we have this kind of webbed foot. Nice. And let's go into wireframe, and let's maybe move this entire thing just slightly over this way. Maybe rotate the entire thing slightly out. And we can then go back into object mode. And let's make a mirror modifier on this. And the mirror object is going to be the body. And we want to flip it around the x-axis, or sorry, the y-axis. Sweet. Okay, now we can move the body and the head down just a little bit. Okay, let's now create the flippers, or the arms. So Shift A. Maybe we can do a similar thing to what we did. Maybe let's try with a UV sphere this time. So let's move it up and over. And then let's shrink it down along 2 of the 3 axes. So we'll go S, and then holding Shift and Z can make it so we get this kind of oval pill shape. And then let's size it up along this axis, and maybe move it in the Y direction a little bit, and rotate on the X direction, move it in, look from the side to make sure we're roughly centered. Here we are. I think that looks pretty good. I think maybe our body is slightly big in the Y direction, and maybe in the Z direction as well. Let's move this down. We can move this down as well. And then this can move inwards. Rotate a little more. Okay, now we have that nice flipper shape that kind of comes out at that good angle. And we'll add a mirror modifier to this as well, around the same object, the body and the Y direction. Okay, so now we have our 2 flippers, our 2 feet, and let's make some eyes and a beak. So next thing we'll do, I guess, is make the eyes. I think for that we can make a UV sphere, and let's do a similar thing where let's first move it up. I think we want the circular part of the UV sphere facing forward for an eye, so we'll rotate it around the y-axis by 90 degrees. We will size it down, and then I think instead of having a perfectly circular eye, even if that's maybe slightly more realistic, it might be cute if we can size it up in the Z direction a little bit like this. So now we can move it down. Let's look at it from the front, move it over, move it up, and have it come out just a little bit. And let's rotate that around the y-axis so it's kind of like that. Now if we look from the front, we have our eye. Let's add a mirror modifier to that as well. This can mirror around, again, the y-axis. We can choose a head as a mirror object. Okay, we now have our eyes. I think now that I see the second eye, maybe we want to separate them just a little bit. So let's hit G and Y and kind of just move them out ever so slightly. Okay, now let's make the beak. So for the beak, let's see what kind of mesh would be good for a beak. Maybe a cone. So we will take this cone, move it up. Kind of looks like a party hat right now. Let's rotate that around the y-axis by 90. Oh, maybe not 90, maybe 270, like that. And let's move it down. I think maybe let's split it in 2. So we'll have the top half of the beak and then the bottom half of the beak. So we'll go into edit mode. Oh, is it an odd number of vertices? That is very unfortunate if it is. Or maybe it's not unfortunate. Maybe we can make do like this. So let's select vertices, select those vertices. Oops, let's go into wireframe mode before we do this. Select all those vertices, delete them. If we go here, we have the top half of a beak. And let's bridge this edge loop and this edge loop. Nice. Okay, now we can take the entire object, look from the front, size it down, move it down. Let's look from the side as we move it out. Maybe you want to size it up just a little bit. Something like that. Okay, now let's duplicate it, move it down in the Z direction just a little bit, and then rotate around the x-axis by 180, and then move it back up. Not rotate, move. Let's size it down. In fact, I think the bottom one, we can size it down just in the Y direction, so it's kind of a little bit skinnier. And then if we look from the side, maybe we can also rotate it around the Y direction, so it's kind of like that, so that the beak opens a little bit. So now if we look from the front, I think we have kind of like a, yeah, the beak opens quite like a little bit. He looks a little happy, which I like. Okay, sweet. So now we have the general shape of our penguin, and now let's add some colors. So I'm going to use GIMP this time. One of the homework assignments that we completed recently kind of showed me the value of that. If you ever want to move something to Unity for making a game, it can be helpful to have like a texture map or a color map instead of just using the materials, which I typically do. So let's do that instead. So what I'm going to do is draw out a couple of rectangles, and for each of those rectangles we'll choose one color on the penguin. So for the first color, let's make it kind of like a white. I guess we can shade it off towards like yellowish, orangish, just ever so slightly. Penguin's feathers get slightly colored, or like slightly discolored, and you know, it wouldn't be right to call it dirty. It's like from being in the water and being in snow and being around other penguins, so I think just a color like that would be good. Let's fill in this then with that color. We already have black for the background, which we can use for the black part of the penguin. We now need a beak and a foot color, so I think for the beak we'll want maybe a darkish orangey red color. So let's get down to here somewhere, maybe something like this. That could be good. Let's fill that in. And let's make one last color for the feet. I think the feet will be maybe slightly more towards the yellow side of orange, something like that. And we can fill that in. Is there anything else we want? Maybe we want a white, a full white for like some of the eyes. So let's make one just absolute white. That'll be this. And then I think that's pretty good for the penguin. So we can save this file, save it. Let's go down the path to get to the 20-minute models. And we can save this. Oh, why is it saving as an XCF file? I don't want that. I want it to export as a JPEG, I guess. So I think it's here, here. Oh, no, not there. Through this. Here we go. And we can save this as penguin colors. .png, and let's export. Sweet. And hit export right here. Okay, now we can go into UV editing, and let's open up the image. 20-minute models, penguin colors, open up, and we got our nice, we got everything we could use here. So let's now go into object mode, and let's select our body, and let's do a smart unwrap, UV, smart unwrap, sweet. For now, I guess let's make the entire thing just in the black zone. Let's move it down here, and then we'll choose the vertices that we want by using the C button to circle select, and let's make this part of the belly. Why is it? Oh, it's on edge select mode. So we're now back to here, and let's select maybe those to be white. Do we want one bigger, one smaller? Kind of in between. I guess because I'm in between, let's let's go to edge select mode and add an edge loop, and I think that can be a good cutoff, like right there. I don't know why that feels right, but it just does. So let's go right there. Now we have all this selected. So with that selected, we can right click, can select all this and move it to our off-white. Okay. Hold up a minute. Why is it not coloring? Oh, we need to, I think we do need to add this. And then instead of the surface being PSDF, is it? Oh, no, right here. We go to image texture. And the image texture is Penguin colors. There we go. Sweet. Okay, we got this now. Okay, nice. Let's go to object select mode. We'll select our feet. And let's do a UV smart project. Let's unwrap all of it. Take all of that, size it all the way down, and move it to our yellow feet. Oh, we needed to do the same thing again. I think we can do that. Nice. Let's do our head. Or I guess let's do the arms first. Need a material. We want the material to be that. Let's do a smart project. We need to be in edit mode. Okay. We can take this, size it all down. We do want it to be in the black. Okay. Object mode. Let's go to the head now. We'll do the same thing mostly. Maybe we'll make part of the head white, but for now, let's take this. I'm trying to think if I do want the circle facing forward for what I'm eventually going to do, which is kind of like draw out almost like Mickey Mouse ears around the face. But I think this is fine. Let's just start with this, and then if we need to adjust it, we can adjust it. Let's unwrap. Take all of this, make it small, move it down into the black. Oh, we didn't do this, but we can do that. Now it should be good. Okay, let's do the beak now. Oops. Just one at a time, I guess. Okay, we have this. Let's make it small. Move it to this. We need to add our material. Let's do the same with here. Make our material. Take our mesh, project it. We need to select all of it first before we project it, I guess. There we go. Take all of it and make it small. We didn't select this, I guess. Okay, here we go. Make it small over here. Okay, we have our beak now. And okay, let's take the eyes now. Take the material. Go here. Project it. Let's size it down. We're going to want it in the white of the eyes, and then we're going to want to make some eyes within the eyes. So let's take this edge loop. trying to think what a penguin eye would look like. Let's look it up. Penguin eye. Oh, why is my caps lock's on, but that should be okay. Okay, I guess let's go for something like this, where you have this white outer layer and then the black inner layer. So it's not going to be super accurate, I guess, to most penguins, but that's fine. It's more to be like a cute penguin than a realistic penguin. So we can take all the edge loops except for this. So if we look from the side, I think this might be a good way of doing it. Let's select this edge loop and this edge loop and this edge loop all the way out to here. Maybe a couple more in. One more. Let's see what it looks like, and then we can go from there. Okay, so we make this, that, and then maybe let's add a pupil, because it kind of looks a little soulless right now. So we'll select edges. Let's make an edge loop right here. Hold up. Why is it not making an edge loop around this circle? What? Does it work if I do it here? It does, just not here. Very interesting. Okay. What if we take this entire edge loop and move it in? Yeah, we can do that. Okay. And then we can make, if we select faces and then select this edge loop. Oh, I'm gonna probably have to zoom in quite a bit to do this. Or maybe just do circle select, that might be easier. Like that, yeah, that's a lot easier. Take this, move it down. Okay, now we have our pupil. They look even more soulless. Okay, we might be dealing with some uncanny valley stuff here. Let's move it out maybe a little bit. What if we rotate the entire eye? Okay, I think we should want this edge, this loop to be white. Then maybe this one to be slightly bigger. Yeah, something like this. Now it goes from looking a little creepy to, I think, maybe slightly cuter. Still looks a little soulless, but what can you do? Maybe let's add one more layer of white here. I think that looks nicer. And then maybe we select this edge loop. And maybe make it slightly bigger. What if we do the inverse? We take this, make it smaller, but make all these faces white. And then we take this edge loop and make all of those black. And we can maybe take this edge loop and move it in slightly. Okay, so now we have like kind of a sparkle in the eye ever so slightly. What if we can move this vertice or maybe move all these vertices up just a little bit? Yeah, like that. Okay, I like that. Now he kind of looks cuter. Sweet. Okay, so we have our penguin now. Let's set him up on a surface so we can look at him. Maybe some like icy, snowy color. So let's go back to our layout mode. Oh, before we do that, let's make sure we don't forget to automatically pack the resources so we have our color file in there. Let's make a plane. Zoom out a little bit. I can go back to this actually, and we can make a new section. There's kind of like an icy one over here somewhere, if I recall. Is it this one? That's like water. Could have sworn there was one that was ice. I guess this one's kind of icy. Let's see what it looks like when you put it here. Hello? That's not what I wanted. Oh, pattern fill. Yeah, there we go. Okay, this kind of looks icy. What about this one? That one also looks icy, but it's supposed to be sky, I guess. What's this? That's like snow? Oh, why is it doing this? It's like filling on top of. That's interesting. Okay, I kind of like that combination. It looks like snow on ice a little bit. There's like these little things in here that are a bit annoying, but we can kind of fill them out if we just draw on top of it. Whatever. I think that looks good enough. Okay, let's file and export. We may have to readjust our penguin in some places. No, it doesn't look like any of that got caught up in that section. Let's just take a look to make sure. We can look at our object mode, select the whole penguin. Oh, we didn't. Okay, there is some stuff that got caught up. It's this. So if we go into edit mode, let's go into wireframe mode so we can make sure we select everything. Let's move view over here just to make sure we don't miss anything. Kind of just move everything over. Now take our image, reload. Now we have this. So when we go to object mode, we can select our, let's come back to this. Let's select our plane. Let's go into edit mode. Let's unwrap. Where is it? Oh, okay, it's just the entire thing. So let's size it down, and we'll make it about one of these cubes. Don't want the pattern repeating too much, so I think something like over here is probably pretty good. Maybe let's go in between those sections so we don't get anything like that. Now let's see. What does it look like? It looks like nothing right now. Oh, that's because we didn't assign the material. There we go. So now when we assign the material, we have this kind of icy texture. Maybe, let's see if we move it around. I think when you size it up, like, yeah, you see that repeating texture, which I don't necessarily like. What if we rotate it a little bit and then size it down like this and then move it like that? I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have our penguin on our plane. Sweet. Okay, let's set up the camera. Let's go back to layout to do this. Set it up to look at our penguin on this icy platform. All right, let's take our light. I guess we never named some of these. Let's just name them real quick so I don't forget. Top beak. Maybe underscore so we don't have to worry about spaces. Cylinder feet. The head. Flippers. Eyes. Okay. Where's the body? Okay, we got the body. All right, we got our camera. Where's our light? Okay, let's change our light to an area. Let's move it along the x-axis over here. Let's rotate it towards our belly of penguin. Let's go into rendered mode so we can see what it looks like. Maybe let's move it up slightly and move it back. And let's up the power to maybe 3,000 or so. Maybe even more. 4,000. Okay, now we got our penguin. And now if we render by hitting F12, here we go. That's our nice penguin buddy. In a couple of days, he'll be snowboarding. So, hope you like this. Thanks for watching. Peace.